Hello everybody and welcome to episode 30 of my Guild Wars 2 Let's Play series. As I was logging in today and getting ready to record this episode, I noticed this heroes banner right here, which is like a guild item that any player can put down if they get one of these, and basically anybody in the world can come up to this and interact with it and get a bunch of buffs. Where we have on our bar right now, we now have 15% more experience from kills, we have a 15% higher chance to find rare materials, and so on with gold, karma, magic find, and we also have some increased speed on ourselves right now as well. But today in this episode I am wanting to head back out into the open road, and we are going to go ahead and waypoint to Brisban Wildlands. And at the start of our journey here, let's go ahead and talk to the scout and see what there is for us to do in the opening areas of this map.
Brisban Wildlands used to be a secure, secluded spot for some of our more experimental labs. Now the Inquest have moved in and targeted Marat Baru's weapons research. We're working with the Wild Hunt and Seraph forces to protect our labs, but it's not sufficient. I'm deputizing you with two objectives. Assist the researchers at Aethervolt Labs and stop the Inquest from disrupting Marat Baru.
So this map is pretty action-packed and there's a ton of stuff going on, there's a ton of stories, and in general it's just a really big and important map for like the Guild Wars 2 game as a whole, where there's actually several maps that were added post-release that connect to this map for the second Living Road season, and we'll get to that a long time from now. But we can explore this area and we can discover where those locations are, and there's even some hints to other maps that we will see where there are portals that act as like map portals, but you can't actually go through them to enter a new map, but we will be able to discover that as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at this vista here at Marat Baru. We were around this area of the world last episode as we were doing our personal story, and I've mentioned a couple times now that Brisban Wildlands is the second zone for the Asura, but it is also the second zone for the Sylvari, so we're going to be seeing some Sylvari story in this zone, but I'm mostly going to stay away from that area in this episode because I am wanting to dedicate a future episode towards exploring all of that stuff. So we are mostly going to stay on the western part of this map and not go too far east. Additionally, if we go east as well, we will discover that the Seraph are here. As I mentioned, this kind of acts like a third zone for humanity, where human players can kind of run through Keswick Hills and get to this area of the road, and they can begin doing some tasks in this area to level up as well. And it is kind of a three-pronged effort from the Seraph, the Peacemakers, and the Wild Hunt Valiants in order to take care of this road and deal with the issues that are going on in this road. And very similar to that, there's also a three-pronged offensive by the different enemy factions that we will be exploring, where we have seen the bandits, and they are in this map, but they are working together with the Inquest, which we have explored, and they are also working together with the Nightmare Court, which we will be exploring soon enough. But those three enemy factions, which are kind of like the counters to humans, Sylvaris, and Asura, or like the evil faction of that race, they're all working together and they're doing some stuff that we are going to learn a lot about in this map, and it actually is pretty important going forward in the Guild Wars 2 story, where we're going to continuously learn more and more about what they were doing in this area of the world, and it's going to lead to some very important storylines. So let's just remember about what's going on in the zone, about what the bandits and Inquest and Nightmare Court are doing, and also to be aware that they are working together in order to do this. We have not been underwater at all on our engineer yet, so let's go ahead and find a few skill bars. Looks like I could have the turret. I'm not entirely sure about that, but let's go ahead and I'll just throw a couple of these on our skill bar right now. Let's see what the turret looks like underwater, and it looks like, yeah, it works pretty well. I did not realize, I think I never used the turret underwater, but that looks pretty cool, and we can see that the model has changed from the surface turret to the underwater turret here. But the engineer underwater weapon is a spear gun, and it's pretty similar to like the rifle, where it's just like a range attack where you kind of just hang out at range, and auto attack is pretty basic. The second attack here, Scattered Mines, is kind of like our, what is it, short bow 3 skill, 4 skill on ranger, as well as like the axe 3 skill, 2 skill, whatever. But then we also have capture line here, where we can cast out a tow line and drag your foe towards you, which is fun, and then fire a timed charge at your target, damaging and burning nearby foes when it detonates. And then we have a net wall here, where we can launch a deployable net wall to mobilize foes within. So we can see right there, there's a nut wall, and that would immobilize any fools that hits. Let's go ahead and come up here because we finished this task, and we can go ahead and begin this second task here. While we are on the topic of skills here for engineer, let's go ahead and come into our hero panel, and I think I'm actually going to look at traits because we have unlocked our first trait line here. I kind of forget when we unlocked the first one. I think it's level 21, so we've had it for a couple levels now. We unlocked the second one on level 45 and the last one at level 71, and the last one is super important once we start getting into expansions. But let's go ahead and look at one trait line that we can go ahead and put some hero points into, and we can go ahead and get some bonuses there. And I think the first trait line that I want to look at here out of these 5, which is explosives, firearms, alchemy, inventions, and tools, is explosives. Because if you look at our rifle skill right here, our third attack on the rifle skill, which we fire like 2 bullets and then we fire a grenade. The grenade, as you would assume, is an explosion. So this trait line should be able to help us out here, and then we can also find some other explosion skills in our skill bar that we can maybe learn some new skills and put it in there, or we could find some pre-existing ones. I'm not entirely sure what we have right now. Maybe one of our flamethrower skills. Yes, our flame blast here is also an explosion, so this should help us out, and it should just give us some damage buffs as well. I'm not too experienced with engineer traits, but let's go ahead and start looking at these. I'm going to go ahead and just train all of these, and then I'll go ahead and put the line into my hero build here. And then let's go ahead and start looking at these minors here. So explosive entrance, your first attack explodes, dealing extra damage to nearby enemies. So that's just a good opening to the attack, and we'll just deal a little bit more damage to that. And it looks like I just leveled up as well, and we can go ahead and pick an amulet. I'll go ahead and pick the power amulet here. Our second minor here is explosions cause vulnerability, so this is just another like nice bonus to our damage that will stack up over time. Looking at our first traits here, let's go ahead and read through these. Where this skill increases the throw velocity and blast radius of grenades. Using a healing skill, casts lesser grenade barrage, which is throwing several grenades at once. So this is just a lot more damage if you have grenade kit. This one here, short fuse, gain fury when you hit a foe with an explosion. And then glass cannon, strike damage dealt increases when above health threshold. So if our health is above 75%, we will deal 10% more damage, which I think is pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and go with glass cannon there. We have just discovered the invariant base, which is one of the places we could have come to in the last episode. But let's go ahead and just finish up this group of inquests in here so we can finish our task and move on. I'm thinking about the trait that we just picked with glass cannon, and I think I kind of want to change some of our skills so that we can try to remain above 75% health more consistently. So if we come to our healing skill here, let's see what we have. I think this healing turret might be a good option, but the medkit might also be good. It looks like we have to wait 5 seconds in order to look at that. But I also think if we start learning some elixirs, we could also go ahead and try to get some stuff that would be able to help us out, such as this elixir U here, where we would gain quickness, stability, and vigor. I think that would be beneficial for us because it's a little bit of survival with the stability and vigor.
Hey, keep it down!
But we need more hero points in order to get that. But let's look at our med kit here, which is one of the engineer kits, and we have restore health to allies with several pulses of healing energy. We have bandage blast, which is another heal. We have cleansing field here, which will cleanse conditions. We have vital burst, which will heal everyone around me, including myself. And we have infusion bomb, which will give us a ton of stats. And I think this actually might not be the best option, even though I absolutely love the med kit. But if you look at all these different skills that we have right here, it looks like we can gain some healing from that, but overall that's not going to do too much for us. This is mostly for helping other people. Though we do have this bandage self here, which is good, but I think I might actually go ahead and keep the elixir H, and then we can go ahead and learn one of the elixirs here, elixir U. I'll go ahead and put that there so we can unlock elixir B, and then we can get more hero points, but I also want to put hero points into traits, so I think these will be the 2 things I work on for the immediate future. But here we are entering a really cool area of the road called Skritsburg, and this is probably the biggest area of the road where the Skrit reside in, where we see Skrit all over the road, but this area especially is one of their most civilized areas where we are going to be seeing a ton of stuff going on around here, and we're going to learn that there's actually a king of the Skrit in this location. So let's go ahead and begin working on all the map completion objectives around here with this waypoint. We have some tasks, 3 tasks in this area I believe, and then a couple of vistas as well. There are also a ton of events going on here, so I might go ahead and come up here and fight some of the inquests to help the Skrit out. I feel like I can tell that we are dealing a ton more damage now that we have these traits in, because I feel like I'm burning through these inquests where I was kind of struggling with the Hylic and like kill time, where it was taking a while to kill the Hylic, but now it seems like we're kind of just chewing through them. Completing this event drove the inquest out and also unlocked this waypoint here that was contested because the event was going on, but now we can waypoint here for the foreseeable future until the inquest decide to attack again. And we completed this task, which means we also level up, so let's go ahead and accept our rewards there, and then go ahead and accept this reward here, and then let's come back into our hero point panel here, and I think I'll go ahead and train this next trait here because that will give us another bonus that we can go ahead and put into our build here. So aim assisted rocket, missile hits launch a rocket at your target. After enough rockets have been fired, an orbital strike is caught down instead. So I think this is going to be a super good trait for us. Let's go ahead and take a look at this vista here, and then we can go ahead and experiment with this. So we can see as we attack these grubs here, we are launching rockets, and then after a few rockets we will launch an orbital strike at them as well. So let's go ahead and just come. We can see the orbital strike right there, massive amount of damage, so very good. And I think this is going to help us destroy a bunch of enemies as we progress through this area and into the next story chapter as well. And I just got a black line chest key from a drop here, which is actually one of the rarest drops in the entire game. I tried to look up drop statistics, and I don't think there's really any statistics. I think it's like less than like a 0.1% chance from any drop, or like throw in a few zeros before that one. I believe it is the same drop rate as a precursor weapon, which once we reach level 80 we will learn about legendary weapons, and those are also incredibly rare drops, and you basically like never see them drop. So we could have gotten a precursor there, but we got a black lion chest key instead. This area of the road right here is really beautiful. We have several waterfalls in here. There's some drakes down here, and you can see that we are inside of like a giant mountain, but there's also this like abandoned ship right here that the script found or built up or something, and then it's just really cool area. There's also a hero point up on that ship. So let's go ahead and figure out how to get up there so we can explore it and conquer that hero challenge. Which I think if we come around here, we can access a way onto the ship right here, and then we can go ahead and interact with this hero challenge. I'll go ahead and put down my rifle turret all the way over here so I can just snipe the enemies. Let's go ahead and start this fight here, where we should be able to deal with them pretty easily because we are very powerful right now, and we can go ahead and just destroy them all. And another hero point unlocked. Let's go ahead and look at our training here. We need one more hero point for this next trait here, but if you look at the next two, explosives grant stacking frosty when they hit, and then explosive entrance grants barrier, gain vitality based on a percentage of your power. So this is a very defensive skill, and then this is an offensive skill, but I think I like aim assisted rocket more because basically all of our attacks on rifle are a rocket. So I think even though I'm going to go ahead and learn those next two traits in order to progress the talent tree there, I am going to go ahead and stick with the aim assisted rocket. Now progressing through here, we can go ahead and fight some destroyers, which are a minion of the Elder Dragon Primordus. We are at Skritzburg East End right here. There's another player right there. So let's go ahead and clear out all the destroyers here. We can see that there's lava now, so there's a ton of variety in this mountain. And I think that's a nice trend of Brisban Wildlands as a whole, where we are going to see that there are a ton of different environments and like ecosystems that we will be exploring, basically going from kind of a plainsy and then like marshy area into a very dry and arid area. I see a pair of diving goggles right here, so let's go ahead and take this opportunity and then jump into the water below, and then we'll have to climb our way back up. But I see that there's a bunch of land right below us. I think right here is safe, so let's go ahead and jump, and then we can go ahead and use our special skills here, and we can get that part of this achievement to go to all the diving locations around Tyria and dive off all of them. But now that we have completed all three tasks around this area in Skritzburg, let's go ahead and head into Skritzburg Center here, and there are a couple of hero challenges in here as well as a point of interest, I believe. So let's go ahead and wander around, and we can see right here that there's a Skrit Keen, and we can see that he has a throne here as well as a rifle, and we can talk to him, and he says, "Greetings, my subjects, have chitter-chatted much about you, outsider. Consider yourself welcome in Skritzburg." He is the King of Skritzburg Center. He rules over all the Skrit here. He guides the city, helps make sure we build together, thrive, and become more than scavengers. I ask, how long have you been keen? And he says, not long. Being the keen is dangerous. Too many want the city to fall, want to steal us, kill us. Enemies come to kill the keen. Last keen, he lasted 4 months. Keen before him, 3 nights. So let's go ahead and wish him luck, and then go ahead and continue on in this area here. A very large and open cavern right here with some trees over there on that end. Let's go ahead and come down here, and then we can fight this pilotless suit thingy with Inventor Schmickta. We can fight the thingy, and then let's go ahead and start attacking it with our rifle turret and then our own rifle here. Go ahead and throw in some of our flamethrower skills here, and then I think we should be able to have an orbital strike soon, except I think we just killed it before he even had to have an orbital strike happen. And then let's go ahead and come up here. I don't think there's a point of interest in here actually. I'm not seeing one, but there's another hero challenge up here. So let's go ahead, clamber up here, and go ahead and get this hero point as well. We have a keg of Spritzberg Special, which just went straight into our inventory. You can drink a bottle of it, get a hero challenge. I didn't really want to do it, but you know, for the sake of completionism, I shall. And now I think I'm going to go ahead and waypoint back to the start of the map here, because we have a scout right here. And then there are a few different ways that we can get into the next part of Brisban Wildlands. I just want to take a sneak peek at this area because it's kind of cool, where there's actually a mountain pass right here, and we have a peacemaker officer right here, which is level 24.
Hey, you look new to
and
this
you can
area.
see that our
You
level is
probably
17.
want to get a bit more seasoning before heading out this way.
So this guard right here is basically just informing us that this is heading to a higher level area of Brisban Wildlands, and that we should probably be careful if we were only level 17, but fortunately we are level 25, so we don't have to worry about that. But I do want to come over here and into the next area this way, because there's a scout over here. We can come back into the inquest space here, and then I think we can leave here, maybe not. We might actually have to go all the way around, so let's go ahead and come here and then come around the base and find the scout on the other side here. We're about to explore a new area of Brisban Wildlands. And you can see right here is actually the location for like the concept art of this map, or at least I think it's like the location for the concept art, where we have this oak cart here that is no longer living. I believe is basically kind of like what's going on right here, and it's kind of returned to nature. Let's go ahead and come down here a little bit more, and we have several different locations around here that we can explore. We have this scout here, this vista, this hero challenge, this waypoint. Let's go ahead and interact with all of these. We have Luffy right here. Let's see what's going on.
These lands are wild and free, ripe for experimentation and discovery. There's cutting-edge research going on at Techie's lab to the northwest, Ulta Metamagicals. The Durman Priory have established a camp to the southwest so they can study the ruins of Fort Koga. Both groups would surely welcome assistance from one such as you.
So this entire area is going to be really familiar for people who have played the original Guild Wars, where we were going to be seeing a ton of familiar locations from the first campaign of the game, Prophecies. We have this hero challenge right here, where we have to chase after this ghostly runner, so let's go ahead and do just that. This little description here is hard to catch, but we can go ahead and catch him with that net right there, and then let's go ahead and stun him a little. And overall, not too hard with our skill set here. And with that, we also leveled up to level 26, so let's go ahead and just pick these random rewards here, and then let's go ahead and run up here, and we can actually go towards the area that we were looking at before, and we can go ahead and get this vista here. It might have been a better idea to run through this pass up here and just get the vista and then go get the scout. We have these ruins here. This was a PvP arena in the original Guild Wars 1, and then we will see areas further west that are more familiar for some of the PvE objectives in the game. We have this Asura lab here, and we can see that they are experimenting with Asura gates, and this is actually kind of a fun location to explore. It looks like there's an event going on in here, which is a fun event. You can see that there are a ton of different creatures coming through these portals, so this might be a little concerning. And then if we were to do this event, which I think I'll do in just a second, we will be able to experience that. But I want to come over here to these lattice configurators, and then we can go ahead and do some math. So sample 35, crystal, 5 units long, 6 units wide, 2 units deep. Volume equals warning, volume calculation unconfirmed, manual input required. So we can go ahead and figure out the volume of this, which is 60 if I'm good enough. Okay, volume confirmed, crystal tuning completed. Go ahead and look at this one, and it says crystal samples observed with the following numbers of sides: 3, 6, 8, 7, 10, 12, 4. Identify range of numbers of sides. So highest minus lowest, we have 12, which is the highest, and 3, which is the lowest, I believe. So it would be 12 minus 3 is 9, and that is correct. We have another one right here, which is analyzing crystal lattice dimensions, length 5.8 units, width 3.8 units, calculating area, calculation complete, user verification, and leaves some decimal points, and I don't really want to pull out a calculator, but I think it's 22.04, and that is correct. Happy to have helped. This one is scaling configuration malfunctioning, crystal lattice 14 units long, 22 units wide, figure correct dimensions before scaling by 3. So if you times each one by 3, that is 42 by 66, and that is correct. And now let's go ahead and come into here and let's start this event, and I'm probably only going to do part of the event here, but let's go ahead and help them out, and then maybe another hero can go ahead and finish this.
There, it's fixed. Switching gate on.
Wait, these coordinates are wrong. This gate opens right up into Griffin territory. Oh, glitch. Here they come.
Oh, sparks and cogs. Hold them back till I shut the gate down.
So we have some griffins coming through this gate here. Let's go ahead and indeed hold them back. So we have some steam creatures now from Lornar's Pass coming through the gate here. So let's go ahead and continue defending these Asura. And we are about to finish this task, so let's go ahead and defeat this Minotaur. And we have now completed the task, and we can go ahead and leave this event for someone else to finish. I don't care too much about getting the rewards from this event, but let's go ahead and head towards the next area for us to explore. But we can head into the swampy area here, and we can discover that it is the Shattered Hinge, which is an incredibly important location from the original Guild Wars 1. I say incredibly important, but it's not like super important, but it is a pivotal moment in the first campaign there. We can go ahead and get this hero challenge here. Nice level up to level 27. We can go ahead and pick a new rifle, which is a huge upgrade for us. So let's go ahead and equip this, and then let's head a little further west here, where we can discover that the Thaumanova reactor explosion that we saw in Metrica province is also affecting the area here. And we can see that there's a ton of chaos stuff going on, and there are creatures from all over the world being teleported here, including this broken golem, which starts an event, which I'm going to go ahead and start, because this is actually kind of an important event for me. So let's go ahead and push this button.
Initializing error. Initialization failed. Begin essential internal diagnostics. Doobie 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 doot 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 doot. Memory matrix analysis complete. Scanning recent events. Sustained damage in reactor explosion. Analyzing data collected during explosion event. Analysis complete. Cause sabotage. Perpetrators inquest. Initiating secondary protocol. Inquest. Saboteurs detected. Elimination mode engaged.
We just learned a little bit more about the reactor explosion, where it seems like the Inquest were involved in the explosion and that the reactor exploded because of sabotage. So that is very interesting. But this event here is really fun because of what's just spawned right here, which is a giant, which is actually the first giant that we're going to fight in this game. And this giant is incredibly unique because it is not a champion giant, where normally when we are fighting giants in this game, up until the second expansion they are all champions, and then when we get to the second expansion you'll find a lot of veteran giants. But because of this giant right here is not a champion or a veteran, it is incredibly easy to defeat, and I'll go ahead and just follow this golem for now, and we can go ahead and explore this area of the world. It means that this event is very easy for people who are interested in getting the Giant Slayer achievement to farm the giants here to progress that achievement. Where if we come into our achievement panel here, we can come down to Slayer, and you can see Giant Slayer here, 1 out of 1,000. So only one spawn right there, so we'd have to do that event 999 more times in order to complete the achievement. But if there are more people there, you can actually stack the amount of giants that spawn up to 6. And this event spawns about every 15 minutes. So what you would see back in the day, you don't really see anybody do this anymore, but people would sit there.
Inquest saboteurs identified. Attention. You have committed criminal acts against life and property. Surrender or be neutralized. Surrender not evident. Preparing neutralization subroutine.
And they would basically just farm that event over and over in order to progress that achievement. And it was very popular before the second expansion released, where now it is probably much better in order to complete the achievement by just going into the Path of Fire area and fighting a bunch of veteran giants, because you can basically kill any veteran giant by yourself, but champion giants you can't really kill. So before that was an option, people like to farm that achievement in that area, and I was one of those people because I absolutely love achievements. So I would spend a lot of time in that area just fighting giants, and I would oftentimes do it by myself, where basically I kind of just sat there, I did the first part of the event, and then I would just kind of AFK until the event respawned, because the event automatically ended when this golem here dies. And the event respawns faster if the event fails, but it still respawns even if the event is completed. So I would spend a lot of time, especially in high school and the early parts of college, just working on homework, and I would just kind of like be studying, and then I would do that event whenever it spawned, and then I would go back to studying for 15 minutes. And it was a nice kind of like semi-AFK where I was at my computer the whole time, and I was kind of just paying attention to like when the event would spawn, and then I would come back into playing the game, and I would be doing that event in order to progress my achievement. And then every now and then we would have someone show up and also help out there, where I think the most I've ever played with at that event was like 7 people at the same time. So it's just a little bit of a nostalgic area for me, and I very much enjoy doing that. But now that we have this point of interest and this hero challenge here, let's go ahead and come back this way and let's explore a couple of important locations in this area. This area right here is actually kind of a hidden area where none of the map completion objectives take you here, and I actually didn't know about the existence of this place until like a year into playing the game, even though I've been around here. But this is an incredibly fun location for people who played the original Guild Wars, where we will see that this area of the world, which is called Aurora's Remains, is actually a recreation of a Guild Wars 1 mission. So let's go ahead and start doing this event here, and we can kind of reenact one of the missions from Guild Wars 1. Actually, it's a group event, so I might go ahead and just kind of run in here, do a little spin, and then walk out. We have a member of, I believe, the Shining Blade, or at least used to be a member of the Shining Blade, and we can come in here and we can actually fight White Mantle spirits here. So some big story beats from the original Guild Wars 1 were the Shining Blade versus the White Mantle, and we can kind of see that some of that action is going on in here. We can go ahead and find the Crystal Runner. Let's go ahead and run all the way to the south here. We have a little bit of a jumping puzzle here, which was not a part of the original Guild Wars 1 mission because there was no jumping in that game. But we can go ahead and come across here, and then we can go ahead and find the Crystal Runner all the way over there. We also have this giant worm here, which I'm just going to ignore. And now we can escort this runner to Les Longbow. We have another entrance, or it might be an exit only to this area right here, which you can see comes out over here. And it looks like this is only an exit, and I think I am going to go ahead and leave this area, and we can return when we are a little bit more powerful. Let's go ahead and come over here, which is actually an area of Brisban Wildlands that was introduced after the original launch of the game. This is introduced with the second season of the Living World, and we can go ahead and come up here, and I believe there's just a point of interest right here, and we will return to the Seraph Outpost much later in the game, but we have this point of interest that we need for map completion. And as I just said, we will return here and we will learn about the stories going on here and what lies in the map just west of here that we just saw the portal for. Right here we have Help, who was an individual who was working at Thermonova Reactor, and when the explosion happened he ended up here, and he's not injured, he is just taking a look at what is happening in this area and kind of just researching it a little bit. The last thing in this area is this hero challenge, which is a very old lady here. You can go ahead and take food from a spooky old lady, Toxo Bog Stew, and we can go ahead and reluctantly get a hero point there. We now have a ton of hero points, so let's go ahead and learn the next few parts of this trait line here, and we unlock this new trait, which is deal increased strike damage for each stack of vulnerability on your target, which I believe will pair nicely with our explosions cause vulnerability, so this is just a little bit of extra damage, 0.5% per stack, so that means we can get 12.5% bonus damage because vulnerability stacks up to 25. But as I was talking about the area before where we were exploring an area of the world where that leads into a new map for Living World Season 2, we have a second map here that we can go ahead and kind of run towards, and I'll go ahead and just take a sneak peek. We can get this point of interest right here. It is now in control of the Seraph, but this gate right here was actually closed in the original release of Guild Wars 2, and there were a ton of champion level bandits sitting on top of that rampart there, and they would basically just like instantly obliterate anybody that like got close. And I remember there were some map breaks that existed where you could actually get like back there and you could like discover the portal there, so people were talking about that all the time. Which, speaking of map breaks, I recently released a video about map breaks in Guild Wars 2, so if you're interested in learning more about that side of the game, go ahead and check that out. But we can see in this area of the road now, we are fighting the Sinister Triad, which is the name for the alliance between the Bandits, the Inquest, and the Nightmare Court. So let's go ahead and just work on these tasks here, and we can find a bunch of bandits. You can also see in this area of the world that the environment and the ecosystems are starting to morph into a more arid area where it is very dry in this location. And let's go ahead and come north here. And you can see that it is very dry here, and there's actually a very cool like canyon system here that is actually a popular place for people to come to mine iron ore, because there are a ton of iron ore veins that spawn here, and then there's also a rich iron vein right there that we can harvest if we wanted to, but unfortunately we don't have a strong enough pick. But I do have our little adventure guide achievement to gather some crafting materials, so I might go ahead and just gather some of those so I can go ahead and get that experience. This is another area that is filled with scrit, and we will see that there are a ton of bandits around here, where there's a bandit camp all the way over there, and I think that structure is a bandit structure as well. As we can see, there are some bandits there, and then another bandit camp right there. So there's a ton of bandit activity, and the scrit want us to deal with them. Looks like there is a merchant right here, and I'm going to hope that he does indeed sell us some harvesting tools. So let's go ahead and buy some new ones so we can actually get the materials around this area. The bottom of the canyon here looks really cool, and there are a ton of hyenas around. Just a really cool location in my opinion. We have a bandit camp here, which shows a champion in here that I just quickly killed with the aid of this ranger here. And now we have this other arrow card event here, and we can go ahead and clear out these bandits. This area is called the Robari's bandit camp, where we just killed Robari over there. So we can kind of see that there are tons of groups of bandits with various bandit leaders in this map, which we will be exploring all those bandit camps when we come back here on a Sylvari. Because for now, I just hit level 30, which means we have now unlocked the third chapter for the Asura and personal story, so we will return to Brisban Wildlands in a future episode. And next episode, I'm going to go ahead and continue our story, and you can finish up the first act of the Asura story here in Guild Wars 2. But as far as this episode goes, I'm going to go ahead and call it good here. I hope you all enjoyed watching through this episode. I very much enjoyed playing through this episode, and I also hope you are all taking good care of yourselves. Remember to drink some water, check your posture, and subscribe. And I see you next time in the world of Tyria. Goodbye.